Hi there, and welcome to At the Table, the show that asks you to pull out your chairs, get out your books, and join us at the table. Today we're going to be discussing, since this is the last week of the spoopy month, and this weekend shall be Halloween. So this is going to be the last Halloween-themed dive into the amazing Advanced Player's Handbook and other awesome Paizo stuff. Today we're just going to be going through the Advanced Player's Handbook, and we're going to be discussing a few of the really cool and spoopy ancestries, or things that remind us of the spirit of Halloween. But without further ado, let's do a quick introduction. Mr. Michael Powell, tell them who you are and where they can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, I'm Michael Powell, and you can find me pretty much all over the internet on my social media handle, which is Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. And how about you, PJ?
Very glad you asked. My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me everywhere at pj.mcgaw. And without further ado, before we continue, I want to say that there is a little vote in the chat. If you look at the bottom, that purple little purple box below the video, we're doing a vote that the audience can participate in. Mr. Michael Powell here is going to be rolling a brand new character for the fourth and final Halloween one-shot that will be occurring tomorrow night on Edge of Legend, Nightmare of Thorntonshire. Now, he's got almost everything rolled up, but he just needs a good old ancestry. So if you're watching, please, if you're watching live on Twitch, I should say, please go down to the voting and put in, do you want him to be a cat, a dog, or a rat? And whatever vote has the highest amount of votes at the end of the show is what he will be playing with. So,
Yep.
That's what you get to decide.
Yeah, I call it the itchy, scratchy, and poochy choice.
And remember, you too can send him back to his home planet in space, where he's from. Right, so without further ado, let's get into the ancestries that we're going to be covering today. I believe we're going to be going with Changeling first. Is that correct, Mr. Michael Powell? Okay.
Yep,
sure my order
got
right.
that graphic up.
Yep. So, the Changeling. I will start off by reading the spooky lore about the Changelings. Tales of children stolen away and replaced by monsters exist. There we go. We'll drop the Twitch for a minute, so I'm going to redo that. Tales of children stolen away and replaced by monsters exist across countless cultures, but the true monsters are the hag mothers of these strange children. After the hag seduces, uses, and disposes of their father, the changeling child is usually abandoned in their father's community to be raised among them. Such a child faces no end of challenges, often beginning life as an orphaned outsider. Sound like Emperor Palpatine there at the ending. Go, Changeling.
A little bit.
Infinite power. I am the Changeling. So that is the Changeling lore. Essentially, some terrible hag, which isn't just a witch. It is a witch-like entity from a different plane, lots of power, very evil, usually, or misunderstood. Mostly just evil. Seduces a man, lets them become impregnated by this man, and then spits the child back out into the world. And because this is a variant ancestry, this could be any combination of things. You could be a changeling orc. You could be a changeling, what's I'm looking for? Dwarf. You could be a changeling tengu, which is an interesting thought. However, you cannot combine variants. You cannot be a changeling tiefling. Because how? No, it's a variant. You can't combine variants.
Oh,
because
true.
Yeah, you have to have a base, basically. So you can be a human or an elven base and then add some changeling to that. All right, so that is the lore of the changeling, the children of hags that take men in the night. We don't need to go into those details. So, Mr. Michael Powell, do you want to get things started with the amazing feats, the amazing abilities, or further information on the ancestry?
I actually want to go further with the further information because So I'll explain a little bit more what a changeling is. A changeling is a uncommon versatile heritage, as you explained already. Basically, your mother was a hag. You have heterochromatic eyes, which means one eye color is different from the other, which is one of the most obvious signifiers of your ancestry. You also might have a slightly slighter build, paler skin, and darker hair than most of your other parents' ancestry, and you gain that changeling trait. You also gain low level vision or dark vision if your ancestry already has the low light vision already. And you could also select the changeling feats and feats from your other parents' ancestry whenever you gain a ancestry feat.
Yep. So that's what's cool. That's what I really love about these ancestries. They are just a dash of spice onto your character, onto your OC. So like you could very easily have a changeling elf and talk about the Fae a lot. And you'd be getting dark vision and you can pull from the elven list or the changing list and really get a unique combination of things. Um,
Oh, and Scoutmaster of the Troop in chat, which is Ian from our Edge of Legend game, says, "Oh, sweet! It's almost like an archetype."
yeah, it's a lot like an archetype. It's cool. It's kind of like, how you have like multi-classing? Now you have multi-ancestring. You can multi-class your ancestry as
Yeah,
well.
I like this. I actually I really dig this. I found it really interesting compared to the other uh, game system.
Yeah, I always find a lot with tabletop role-playing games, outside of this one, that they keep you locked into one, like, well, they use the word race, and I know we're trying to step away from that. So they, let's call it, even though they don't say
Hmm.
ancestry, although I think some of them will be after the most recent updates. Um, so with their ancestry, they keep you locked into that ancestry, and then have to start coming up systematically with a bunch of things to make it interesting as opposed to being static. But
Yeah.
what's cool, what Paizo did is they gave you all of the ingredients to make whatever kind of cake or
Hmm.
pie you want.
Yeah, and I also like it because I mean the DM could also flavor this. After a while, it's kind of like wearing the same pair of pants for a long time. It gets boring to a certain point, and then hey, you never know. Your character might find out, oh, I'm a human, but I'm also a changeling.
Yeah, and that's really fun. And we'll get into some of those things. But one of the things I love in the flavor text about this, I want to put out there, is how flexible this is for players. You have a lot of non-binary and agendered people, and changelings really reflect that as well. Not that they're the only one that can, but they really strongly do.
Hmm.
So it says here in the book, changelings can be any gender, but women in particular tend to kind of answer this call, a psychic influence that urges them to abandon their mortal life and to join a hag's coven and eventually become a full hag themselves. Changelings who understand their heritage often fear the call and work to resist its pull. Those who remain ignorant of their origin may find themselves subject to a terrible compulsion without knowing why. So what's exciting about this is one of the few variants where becoming a full-fledged whatever your origin is actually viable. Like a Dampier, it's very hard, like lore-wise, for these people to become full vampires because vampires hate them.
Hmm.
Um, half elves can never become full elves for so many reasons. Tieflings, maybe they can become full pit lords, whatever their ancestry is, but it's very rare, and it's usually only with a blessing and then like cursing of their home entity.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny how accepting and completely fluid the changeling presents.
I feel that down the line, Paizo is gonna release other versatile heritages, much like the changeling, where you can. It's a choice whether or not you could become a full such and such.
I would love to see that as like an optional level 20 feat
Hmm.
or something. like an ancestry level 20 feat, where maybe you take it in lieu of whatever your level 20 class feat is,
Hmm.
but it's going to be very good. Like becoming a full pit lord is amazing. And
Yeah.
as a tiefling who hits level 20 and goes, you know what? I could get Hexmaster, or I could get whatever thing that I have. Or I could just say, nah, son, full on pit fiend with all these amazing bonuses.
Yeah.
It could be exciting.
Yeah, but also at that point I kind of want to say that's when your character becomes an NPC. That's end game. That's end game.
Very much, and
Yeah.
maybe that's kind of the better solution, is to make that the end game. But moving right along, I
Yeah.
think it's a good time to actually talk about what being a changeling as a variant ancestry gives you for your trouble.
Yeah, let's get into
Um,
it.
yeah, you want me to start off with the first feat?
Sure.
All right. So, kind of like how witches have different covens of different areas, and even in the bestiary, you can find hags of different areas. The first feats seem to really focus on the type of hag that your mother was. And that is the case with the first one, which is Brine May. Your mother was a sea hag, granting you one sea green or one blue eye. Remember that heterochromatic trait that they have.
Yep.
So now that's going to affect your eyeball, which I think is really cool. You find comfort in both the sea and on the shore. Whenever you roll a success on an athletics check to swim, you get a critical success instead. If you end your turn in water without having succeeded a swim check that round, you don't sink, but you might still be moved by a current. So now you have supernatural swimming powers.
There you go.
That's not bad.
We got Scoutmaster of the Troop saying, "I like the character decision it allows. If the campaign goes awry and you are treated poorly, you can then go down the road as a hag."
Exactly. Like classic Disney storyline. Society would not accept me as I was, so I'll take the worst option and become, and find strength in the monster they want me to be.
Hmm. It's kind of like the saying, um, or it could be like, what is it? You become the evil that you vowed to destroy.
Yeah, very, very Jedi Sithy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to take the next one?
All right. Give me a moment.
Take your time. Take your time.
All right. Let's see. Downsides when you're using a device. It.
Yeah, it's like what Stanley said about digital books versus comic books. He's like, they're like, and this is maybe a little radar, but they're like boobs. Yeah, they look great on paper, but I'd rather have a real one in my face that I can grab.
We're gonna get a bunch of angry comments in section because of that, PJ.
Jump in the chats. Come at me. I'm fearless. I will apologize immediately, but before I do, I will be fearless.
All right. The second one is called Callow May. See, you are among the most common changeling. Those born to green hags and a vibrant green eye signifies that parentage. Your mother's manipulative nature and versatile voice gives you an edge when deceiving others. You gain the charming liar skill feat. If you roll deception for initiative, foes in that combat you encounter foes in that combat encounter that haven't acted yet are flat-footed against you.
Oh, that's so good for rogues, though.
Yeah.
We have Reap Psyche in the chat. Work lurk. That's what I'm talking about. Lurking at work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, give you a quick recap. We are discussing some ancestries from the Advanced Player book to wrap up the Halloween theme, and we're starting with Changeling, being the mortal children of otherworldly hags and patrons of witches and such. We're kind of going about how cool this kind of variant thing is, and you only missed two different feats. The Brine May, which lets you be a good swimmer, and the Callow May, which lets you be a good liar. And, as Michael Powell just said, this is amazing, you if you roll deception for initiative, then foes in combat that haven't acted are flat-footed against you.
Yeah. I can actually see this, like you said, a rogue or a social character.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that rogue because that means you could get a sneak attack on one or two characters, three if they're like right there in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of pop, pop, pop. Like, yeah, you're gonna get the multi-attack penalty like crazy, but 3 sneak attacks in the first round is gonna do a lot for the flow of combat.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what's up next?
Changeling Lore. All too aware of your true nature, you studied hags and their powers. You gained the trained proficient. You gained the trained proficiency rank in deception and occultism. Not bad, 2 at the gate. If you automatically become trained in one of those, for background or class, for example, you can instead become trained in a skill of your choice. You also become trained in hag lore. Now, I want to mention this because I did some looking into with regard to the Dhampir and their vampire lore. So, at the beginning of level, you can choose a number of skill proficiencies equal to your intelligence modifier plus whatever your class gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, there's a bunch of lores that you can choose from, a ton of lores.
Yeah.
And within those lists of lores, there is what they call a specific lore. So this is where I feel like this actually comes in. Hag lore, and with regards to Dhampir lore, vampire lore, it makes more sense to me as a player to take the feat that grants me that lore for free than to use one of the limited numbers of skill training proficiencies to hyper specify in this subject. A good friend of the show, Malice1974, did accurately state, yes, you can just choose these lores out the gate, level 1, if you want to. However, I feel like to hyper specify out the gate is kind of a detriment to all the other skills that you're really going to need. So having a feat that grants you such a powerfully esoteric lore is very viable level 1.
Yeah.
Mostly for that reason.
Do you know what I really want to see down the line from Paizo when it comes to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, when it comes to the lore skill? I want to see lore-specific feats. Like, you have to take maybe some kind of feat that you have to take before you could... you got to take vampire lore before you could take this lore, you know? Like, maybe you're better at aiming for the heart if you have vampire lore first because you're trained to aim for the heart.
Yeah, I need to double check. I think it's probably more of a class build thing, but I would love to piggyback off that and say, when you choose a specific lore about a group of people, elf lore, orc lore, vampire lore, hag lore, that there should be a really cool skill feat that like grants you bonuses to social interactions or violent act like or athletics checks or whatever against that people. So it's like, you know, I mean, because
so kind of like the Ranger's favorite enemy thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. However, it wouldn't be. Gosh, actually, I don't think the favorite enemy gives damage bonuses in this edition. I think it just gives you bonuses to like tracking them and gives you a bonus on initiative against them. But I think it'd be really cool too if like I've been studying hags my whole life. I know how to lie to them. I know how to wrestle them. I know how to wrestle a vampire. And then maybe have another general feat that requires that skill feat that gives you bonuses to damage or like bonus to crits or whatever.
Well, I mean, if Paizo doesn't do it, doesn't mean we can't do it here on Edge of Legends.
You know, you're not wrong. I think Nat20 Productions official. We need to set the example. So
yeah, we need to start making up some of our own feats, man.
Well, you know what? When November rolls around, when we're done with the Halloween stuff, we're going to discuss magical items, and we're going to make up our very own Edge of Legend official magical items. Ooh. But I think maybe what we could also do, maybe in December. Ooh. Okay. Hear me out, chat. We're completely derailing this crazy train. So how about this? November, we discuss with you feats, and we can discuss all these really awesome feats in both these books.
Yeah.
But then we can also make up our own feats as well. And then in December, what we can do, because, you know, it's holiday season and everyone's giving gifts, we can talk about magic items, create magic items, and maybe give some special gifts to some special players. We'll see.
I'm down for that because, hey, a certain investigator always loves presents.
Oh yeah, a certain investigator also literally has a coupon for getting out of prison and another coupon for starting a war.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's
Oh
such
yeah, I do
powerful
have that.
items. Like
You
you
just
can have.
I actually kind of forgot about that for a second there. You actually reminded me.
Damn it, Ian! I reminded him. Like, can you
Ooh,
imagine? Can
yeah.
you imagine? Like everyone's sitting like, "What's your secret? I have these magical gloves that let me knock people out with a single blow. What's yours? I have this magical like gauntlet that makes my badger a Tarask. What about you, investigator of the wisdom? I have these magical items. They're not magical. They're just extremely litigious. I have the power of law on my side.
Yes. Law and anime on my side.
I want that. I want a meme of like Rufa pointing like Phoenix Wright, you know,
Yes.
and it's just like I have the power of law and anime on my side, and he's shouting Rufa.
Yes. Hey, everybody in chat, let us know what's it? Let's say what Edge of Legend apparel you want, because we are actually a little peek behind the curtain. We are actually considering and talking about stuff like this.
That's right. That's right. We are. This is a little bit of a secret, but we are in the works of designing our first models of merch. So we
Yeah.
might even be having
Yeah.
some fun stuff.
Let
Maybe
us know
maybe in around the
let
holiday
us know
season.
in our Discord.
Yeah, join our Discord, chat. We can discuss
Mhm.
some fun ideas, and we give you the updates
Yep.
as they happen.
Okay.
But that
Really
being
quickly, I'm gonna
said,
read some stuff in from chat because we got some stuff, really cool stuff in chat right now.
yeah, go right ahead.
All right. Let's see. Reef Psyche says
Pardon me.
Changeling is one of my favorite just because there are so many RP options for it. Oh, I have plans for Changeling character myself. Reef Psyche also goes on to say, yes, Secret Santa for players.
Mm-hmm.
And Reef Psyche also goes, Tarax Badger, dear Lord. And then Scoutmaster of the Troop goes, way to go. You know how hard I've worked not to mention it.
I know, Ian. You've worked so hard, and I have ruined it. I've
Anyway,
ruined it.
yeah. Let's move on to the next feat. We got Dream May. You are a child of a night hag, making one of your eyes violet or even black. Your mother's powers over. Oh, your mouth. Yeah, bah. Mushmouth today. Your mother's powers over sleep and dreams have given you a degree of resistance to those effects, granting you a +2 circumstance bonus to all saving throws against sleep effects and effects that cause or alter dreams. In addition, sleep is more restorative for you. You regain HP equal to your Constitution modifier times double your level instead of just times your level, and you reduce any drained and doomed conditions you have by 2 instead of 1.
Dear,
That's really good.
that's so good. Could you? Oh my God. Okay, so this is giving me in my head a Dream May tank. Imagine a changeling tank. You could have a champion or a barbarian or a fighter, and you can even just look at the healer and go, "No, I'm good. I just need to survive long enough to go to bed." You add this with the feat, was it fast recovery?
Uh huh.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
you get almost all your HP back in a night.
Oh, and remember our Oracle episode? What if you're a Dream May and an Oracle and you took that one, was it one mystery that pretty much gives you the, what is it, doomed or drained condition?
Mm, that's right. It was bones. The
Yeah.
Oracle of the Bones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think the oh, I'm spitting because I'm eating an apple. I think the difficulty here is that this is awesome because this could let you get rid of doomed and drained in one night. That is incredible. The fact that doomed and
Yeah.
drained are niche, but the worst conditions to get in the game are important. The fact that you can go to bed and get rid of them potentially, outstanding.
Hmm.
I think though with the Oracle of Bones, you get the drained condition when you wake up. So you'd get rid of it only to have it first thing in the morning. Or at least like after you do any of your mysteries, it's going to come back to you. So it's this, I don't know, but that is still and at level 1,
Yeah.
uh,
Whew.
uh cherry.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, so what's the next one?
Hag claws. When you come of age, your fingernails grow long and sharp. You gain the unarmed attack that deals 1d4 slashing damage. Your claws are in the brawling group and have the agile, finesse, and unarmed traits. So I like that. I like the idea of going again to like a hag rogue, because now you always have daggers on you, and they function just like daggers would for rogues. You can never be disarmed because they're literally your arms. They work off your dexterity.
Disarmed.
I mean, yeah, but it's a lot easier than just making a disarm check. So I like it. There's a special qualification or a special note here. Hag claws can develop at any point in a changeling's life, allowing you to select this feat anytime that you would gain an ancestry feat. But once you've selected it, you can't retrain out of it. So in theory, you could actually take the Calomay and the Hag claws, so you get sneak attack on the first round by stabbing people with your hands.
Honestly, you could also play a monk changeling with Hag claws.
True. Although, I think I'll have to confirm. We really need to do an awesome deep dive of monks, because I personally love monks. I think I'll have to go buy a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt, because I like Dragon Ball Z.
Reepsaki says, but it's a tiny Tarask, like Bazzer size. And Scoutmaster goes, I definitely want a super mush. And then Reepsaki goes, tanky bugger, ain't he? Brutal.
Those are all good points. I saw that in the chat, and I think I speak for everyone at Edge of Legend and all the Legenders in the chat when I say we all want to see a super mush. I will have to look down the road with Ian to see what amazing things will happen naturally, because if I don't have a dragon-scaled kaiju badger by level 20, I will make a dragon-scaled kaiju badger at level 20. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Anyway, the next one is called Hag Sight. You nurtured the supernatural abilities gifted by your hag mother, particularly your sight. You gain dark vision. Not bad. If you need dark vision, you got dark vision. Yeah, if you need
dark vision, yeah. And that's kind of the crazy thing, because you can just get dark vision from a good combination of changeling and things. But again, never hurts to have it.
Yeah.
Now, I like this. I got to be careful with the words here. It's called Slag May. And I know the slag they're talking about is rock, but depending on where you are, slag means something very different. Worse than that, your mother was an anise hag. I'm trying... Yeah. It's an anise. Anise. Not... Nope. It's just A-N-N-I-S. Known for their physical prowess, you have one violet or steel gray eye. You have thick, sturdy claws made of cold iron that grow naturally from your body. You gain a claw unarmed attack that deals 1d6 slashing. Your claws in the brawling group, they have the unarmed and grapple traits, and are cold iron. This is outstanding. Cold iron is a very rare trait that does a lot of damage to hags, by the way, and other fey creatures. The fact that it has the grapple trait is also amazing. It does better damage than the hag's claw. I guess the only difference is that you have to take this at level 1, but it's really good.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Reepsaki laughing along with us. Yeah, we're all 10. We're all 10.
What I love is that I said the term correctly, but we all know what I was thinking.
We know. Also, Scoutmaster goes, yeah, don't want to see this little guy get angry. Squishes his little badger face.
Oh, God, that's so cute. I'm just imagining a badger, and you're just mushing his face, and he's just like...
Oh, and Reepsaki apparently posted something that got mod blocked.
Yeah, I allowed it. What got mod blocked was Anna's slag hag. And I had to permit the term slag. Oh, I'm going to regret that. Anyway.
Well, none of us are from England.
True. And if people jump in the chat and they're throwing that word around, then we can at least play dumb and be like, oh, you mean like this rocky refuse? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Of course.
All right. Anyway, we got a level 5 feat next called... Well, it's called... There you go.
I'm
Anyway,
punchy today.
yeah. You have heard the call, and in consistently resisting that persistent demand, you developed a mental bulwark against effects that would target your mind. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to will saving throws against mental effects. If you roll a success on your saving throw against a mental effect that would make you controlled, you get a critical success instead.
That is really, really good because that is basically a bonus to willpower saves.
Mm-hmm.
Most willpower saves affect your mind, sometimes your soul, if you will. I like to kind of put that into both. But like considering all of the creatures, magical spells, curses, etc., that affect your mind, that gives you a +1 added to everything else in your willpower save, and it ensures that the only way you can fail is to roll a fail or
Yeah.
fail. That's still really awesome.
Yeah, it's a good defensive feat.
Absolutely. Next up, Mist Child. You blend in with unnatural subtlety. When you are concealed or hidden, you increase the DC of the flat check to target you to 6 if you are concealed, and 12 if you are hidden. Once again, we have an awesome opportunity for a changeling rogue with some natural benefits to sneak attack. I really like this synergy here and how it's playing out.
Oh, Maynard is in chat. It's late, but I'm here.
That's right. And Reek has given him the catch up. I've permitted variations of several words in my chat a million times, and Automod blocked them every time regardless. That, Reek Psyche, that may be frustrating, but as someone running the show with Michael Powell, I would always rather to allow words than to turn that off and let the wrong word slip in.
Yeah. True. Anyway, next up, we have Accursed Claws. This one's a level 9 feat. Your claws carry your mother's hag magic. When you critically hit with a claw strike, the target takes additional 1d4 persistent mental damage. Now that's really good.
That is awesome. If you can stack that with with the slag may,
Yeah.
you're doing 1d6 plus strength damage with grapple checks automatic on connection. And then while they're in your grapple, they're still doing 1d4 mental damage, which is very
Yeah.
hard to defend against.
And imagine if you're a monk with that.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Especially with some of the feats, some of the styles they have. Yeah.
I need to go back. I'd love to do a really good deep dive of monks, because I remember in Pathfinder First Edition, one of the most fun and specific monk build you could do is the grapple monk.
Yeah.
They had a whole bunch of really awesome feats. I think they're called the Trattori, and they had a bunch of really awesome feats designed for just grappling and wrestling. They even had like power slams and neck breakers.
Yeah. Well, little peek behind the curtain here again. Originally, when we started playing, we play tested Edge of Legend a couple times. Rufus started off as a monk.
That's right. And it was very interesting because we were talking about like all the different things we could do with this monk character, but I think Investigator has really given Rufa the base he needs to be the full Rufa. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if he would be the same way if he was a monk.
Nah. Anyway, what do we have next, PJ?
So after Accursed Claws at level 9, your other choice for a feat at level 9 is Occult Resistance. Prerequisites, you have to be an expert in occultism, and that is very possible given some of the class options that you have. But at level 9, Occult Resistance, your study of occult practices has shown you how to best defend against them. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to all saving throws against occult effects. So that's a very good defensive ability, because that gives you a +1 to every single spell on the occult spell list. That's really darn good. That's like what?
Yeah.
Let's see. Occult, Primal, Arcane, Divine. I forgot what the other one is. Natural? No. That's at least 1/4 to 1/5 of all magic in the game you get a +1 against. That's awesome.
Yeah, especially in Pathfinder Second Edition, those plus ones are, yeah, those are actually really useful.
Yeah, they stack up and they catch up
Hmm.
real fast.
Definitely, definitely. All right, and now next we have the capstone of the changeling feats. It's called you have to take it at level 13. It's called Hag Magic. Through your heritage, you can replicate some of a hag's magic. Choose one common spell of 4th level or lower from those available to a coven, including spells contributed to a coven by a hag of your mother's type. You can cast a spell once per day as a 4th level occult innate spell. Spells available to all covens are Augury, Charm, uh, Clara, Clairaudience,
Clairvoyance? Clair
Clairvoyance,
clairvoyance, yeah.
and well, there's also Clairaudience
Oh,
and
there's clairaudience.
Clairvoyance,
Yeah, I see
yeah,
that now.
and Clairvoyance, Dream Message, and Illusionary Disguise. The eligible spells granted by the most prominent types of hags are Sea Hag, Acid Arrow and Water Walk, Green Hag, Entangle and Outsider's Curse, and Walls of Thorns, Annis Hag, Earthbind, and Night Hag, Nightmare.
So that's really fun because like I don't know obviously what you choose to combine with your changeling ancestry, but
Mm-hmm.
what I love is that you have a strong magical potential here. No matter what your class is, you're walking out of level 13 if you by choosing this feat with one, two, three, four, five, six, up to like nine innate spells. You could be, and I know I hit this well a lot, and one day I'll actually get to play it again. You could be a barbarian in Pathfinder, and then no matter what, you have nine spells, even though you would never have access to them.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of useful if you think about it.
Yeah. Oh, Maynard
Um,
says, going temporarily back to the claw thing, I think it stacks with the cat folks' aggravating scratch, which makes it more worthwhile doing both in one attack.
hmm. Now, we have not covered the catfolk in depth, but I would love to kind of look at that and then talk about that combination because being a catfolk changeling could be a very fun combination, and
Yeah.
having these magical
Oh
claws would be
man,
fun.
I just thought of this. You're a catfolk changeling who's a witch. So are you your own familiar?
Oh,
Or can you have your familiar
ooh.
be? What if your familiar is a witch?
I was just gonna say that. I think it'd be funny if your familiar was like, okay, so it's like Sabrina, but in like flip, right? Like you are Salem, this jet black witch, catfolk, changeling, and your familiar is a little blonde girl who's got like a 1950s hoop skirt on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play with that at some point, but I'm just gonna call it a fairy.
Yeah,
Okay.
really quick, Maynard also says, nobody, not a single soul, PJ. Barbarians!
Yes,
And
there
Maynard also
are.
goes, I
Yep,
am my own familiar sounds like the premise of a Lifetime TV movie.
I could see that. I feel like the I am my own familiar is like the premise of like some really bad YA fantasy TV show.
Yeah, or at least a National Enquirer headline at the supermarket.
Oh no, that would be hilarious. Like just like man wakes up to find he is his own familiar. News at 11.
But really
Yes.
quick, back to the hag magic. Yeah, that
Hmm.
yeah that's definitely a really good feat to take if you're playing honestly a martial class who normally doesn't have access to magic at all, and then you all of a sudden gets 9 spells.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I know obviously if you're already playing a magical class, especially one that's already a cult, like a bard or a
Yeah,
sorcerer of a certain bloodline, you just get more spells. And I mean, that's your bread and butter. So getting more of that for free, choice. But then going to someone who never has the option and now going, okay, cool, here's 9 spells to play with, have at it. Now opens up their game plan. Like a rogue with these 9 spells would be amazing.
yeah. Or if you or you take one of the new classes that actually has a very limited spell pool, like the Summoner or Magus.
Yeah.
That could open up a way for you to actually get more spells.
I definitely love the idea of the Magus too, because they kind of go off of the Warlock spell slots, which is like you don't have a lot, but what you have is going to be the most powerful you can cast it at. And I love that system because I'm lazy and it makes my brain work a lot less
There you
hard.
go.
But this is great because it's like, okay, I get 4 spells a day, and they're 10th level casters, so they can get like 2 or 3 level 9s and like 1 or 2 level 10s. So that's awesome. But then it's like, oh man, besides my like 7 cantrips a day, what am I gonna do? Oh, I know. I'll cast Acid Arrow for free, or I'll cast Nightmare for free, and that's just
Yeah.
amazing.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
and
go
Maynard,
ahead.
I'm going to go on the record for saying I love barbarians, but I also love champions and I love monks. Those are my
That's your
three usual
go-tos. That's your
classes.
go-tos.
Especially in
Yeah.
Pathfinder, champions got some awesome powers.
I think right now I haven't played as much Pathfinder as you, PJ. I think, but my go-to, honestly, at this point is the investigator. I love the investigator.
Oh yeah, their end game buffs are insane, and their skill list is
Yeah.
incredible.
So anyway, really quickly, now that we finished Changeling, the feats, and we discussed it, what do you think about the Changeling, PJ? And also, what do you think, chat?
That's a very good question. I think the changeling, and I know Psyche said it, adds a lot of really fun roleplay potential. And by that, I specifically mean it gives you, the player, a lot of opportunities for storytelling, which is always one of my biggest things with characters, is not just being mechanically viable, but narratively viable as well. And again, going back to how awesome this variant ancestry rule is, the combinations of what this class presents and what the other this ancestry and what the other ancestors combined with this can do is so cool. Like having those magical witch claws that are not weak at all, and combine it with a cat folk, and then having some strength based stuff to go with that. You could do a lot of really
Yeah,
fun, like tiger style monks, or like some scrappy clawy bar brawler. Like there's a lot of fun stuff there.
yeah, yeah. Maynard says Changelings in general just feels like a weird class. It's more like a race, kind of. I don't know. It's interesting. Well, Changeling actually is an ancestry. It's a race, not a
Mm-hmm.
class.
That's right, yeah, and it's a variant. So what's great is you can combine this with another thing. So you can now, granted, you cannot combine a variant with another variant because where's the baseline there? There's no
Yeah.
baseline. But there's so many interesting combinations you can get from this. You could get a goblin changeling. You could get an orc changeling. You could get a tengu changeling. Um, just a kobold changeling, and all the crazy
Yeah.
variations of those
Oh,
skills.
PJ, I think
Great.
earlier on the show when I said you can't be that, I think when you said tiefling, in my head, I thought you said Tengu, and that's when I got confused for a second.
Oh,
But yeah,
I
you
can all
can be
yeah.
a Tengu changeling. You could be a bugbear changeling. Oh, imagine, bugbear, changeling, barbarian, or monk.
Mm-hmm.
You're just
So
wrecking house.
just scratching things with your bare hands.
Yeah. But
Now,
yeah,
what I
my thought about changelings really quick. I like them. I actually have some really good ideas with them, and I also really like the various different types of changelings that they have, like the sea hag changeling, the green changeling, the anise changeling. Yeah, I gotta be really careful when you say that word. Like,
yeah,
I have to pause to say it.
you have to really hit that A sound and then really
Yeah.
cut off the S.
Uh-huh.
Um,
But yeah, anyway, before we move on to the next ancestry, really quick, I want to say in chat, because now we got more people in it,
yes,
we
yes.
do have a vote today. Yeah. PJ,
Yeah,
you want to really quickly go through our vote today?
sure. Yeah, we have a vote for you guys at the table. It's a little purple box just below the screen, if you can see that. So our man, Mr. Michael Powell here, is rolling a new character for the 4th and final episode. There's a bug here for a second. Of Edge of Legends, Nightmare of Daltonshire, and he's got everything all written up for the character. He just needs the ancestry of this character. So if you look in the chat, or if you look in the Twitch pics, the poll basically asks, should he be a dog, a cat, or a rat? Right now, as it stands, I'm going to try and refresh without throwing away all the votes. God give me strength. The thing here, because we have only one vote for cat, and that's it. So if you want to give another vote for cat or a vote for rat, whoever wins, or dog, whoever wins, that is the ancestry that he will play.
Maynard says, it's not fair. You can't give me cat as an option and expect me not to pick it. And Reap Psyche goes, I am my own familiar. Sounds like the title of a PG Chuck Tingle novel. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And also, I call this vote the Itchy, Scratchy, and Poochie vote.
I can definitely see that. Don't refresh it.
Okay, let's go into Dusk Walker now.
Okay.
All right. I guess should I read? Should I read it?
Sure. Go right ahead.
All right. The first Duskwalkers manifested as a result of a bargain between two powerful psychopomps, the immortal guardians and guides of souls after death. One believed that certain souls who helped preserve the cycle of life and death but had their own lives cut short deserved reincarnation, while the other felt this would too greatly violate that same cycle. In the end, Duskwalkers rose from a concession between the two that allowed such rebirths to occur, but limited their frequency. Only a finite number of Duskwalkers ever exist at any one point in time. Oh, really quick, I am going to change our graph. There we go. And if you look really closely at that graphic, that Duskwalker's arm is covered in skull tattoos, much like a certain Randy Orton from the WWE. Anyway, when they are first created by psychopomps, Duskwalkers are expected to perform roles that would serve the goddess of death, Phasma, and by extension her realm, the Boneyard. But now Duskwalkers have found themselves with more freedoms of choice after a century. Have now only come to terms with the fact that their destinies are their own to choose. As they are created, not born, most Duskwalkers either struggle to integrate with society or seek out communities and organizations to serve as a surrogate family. So, pretty much, you're not born as a Duskwalker. You are reborn or created as a Duskwalker, and even then, you can't. I don't think you're as a Duskwalker. You can even reproduce, so you can't even reproduce other Duskwalkers unless it's up to your DM and their world honesty.
Yeah, from looking at the physical description of the Duskwalker, and I love this idea of like you were something in the past. Now this is a very important distinction to make clear. Every other ancestry we talked about, or every other variant ancestry, is a combination of two people getting together. Now, mechanically speaking, this will still function like a half-elf would. You know, you have to tack it onto a base ancestry. However, like this is literally saying you died, you have come back from the dead as a finite, well, I don't want to say immortal servant, but a long-living servant. And what's cool in the description here is they say kind of the biology, right? They appear to be humanoid ancestry, but have features like draconic scales or horns. A Duskwalker perishes, faces final judgment. A new one incarnates within a year from a deserving soul, typically somewhere far from the previous Duskwalker's birthplace. They can manifest in locations with a sanctified connection to death, such as graveyards or temples, and begin their lives at adolescence. So even though you've already had a whole life, you are now like Scott Bakula. You're jumping into a new body at a younger age.
Fix things and do things right.
Damn it, Ziggy. No Duskwalker, and this is important because I know Michael was saying this earlier. No Duskwalker is capable of bearing or siring biological children, but this doesn't prevent them from establishing families through adoption. Now, I think again, like the GM say is always final, and especially if you want to make this plot with the GM. But I think it's very important to note that since you are mostly dead, how can you give life? You know what I mean? How can you make new life? But
Yeah.
that could be a cool story. Like,
Yep.
family is chosen, not built or not born. You know what I mean?
Okay. Really quick in chat, we got Maynard going, "Oh yes, RKO out of nowhere." Then we got Scoutmaster Troop going, "Duskwalker, Monk, or Brawler," and Maynard saying, "Do you keep all your previous life's memories?" So, and also got Malice going, "So like the movie Wrath."
Yeah, like the movie The Wraith. It is kind of like
Wraith,
The
yeah.
Wraith. Do you keep your memories of the previous past? I imagine you do. However, I have a feeling that we're going to go through the feats and kind of glean more
Yeah.
from that, because I think like
Uh,
you have to know that you're a servant of the dead. That's your entire
yeah.
purpose.
Really quick, PJ, do you want to tell our audience what you get as a Dustwalker regularly as a versatile heritage?
Oh, of course. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Okay, so thanks to an ancient bargain, your soul has been reborn as a Duskwalker. Sorry, I just got this funny idea for a one shot where everyone's a Duskwalker and they're going through like their first day training and they're watching this old PSA from like the 50s. Like, so you've died and come back a Duskwalker. What do you do now? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Anyway, um, skip ahead, skip ahead. You gain the Duskwalker trait in addition to the traits from your ancestry. You also gain low light vision or dark light or dark vision if you already have low light from the other ancestry. Neither your body nor your spirit can ever become undead. That is kind of awesome. You can choose from Dustwalker feats and feats from your ancestry whenever you gain an ancestry feat. So now you have the biggest FU to every Halloween campaign. Like, they kill you and rise you back up. It's an undead abomination. Nope. No, it says right here, I can never become undead.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
That's
anyway,
awesome.
let's go into to the feats. For the first feat, we got Duskwalker Lore. You either found another Dustwalker who taught you the secrets of your kind, or you managed to research your unusual heritage. You gained the trained proficiency rank in medicine and religion. If you would automatically become trained in one of those skills, from your background or class for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. You also become trained in Boneyard Lore.
That is so cool. I just love the name of that. And again, I love the fact that also, hey, Malice 1974, awesome to see you in the chat. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I said hi yet. We were actually talking, we mentioned you by name, Malice, talking about the Dampier and how, like, yes, you can absolutely spend one of your starting skill proficiencies to take Vampire Lore or Boneyard Lore, but being at such a low level, you really have to kind of establish your skill base. This
Yeah.
feat is awesome because it gives you a very esoteric lore that could set you up for the rest of your life without having to like potentially skip out on things like athletics or I don't know, thievery, whatever it is you really need.
Anyway,
Uh, yeah.
what's the next
Also,
one we have? Oh, go
oh no,
ahead.
sorry. I just want a quick shout out to chat. I see Reef Psyche and Maine are talking about the distinction that these Duskwalkers are not undead. Um, that's a very, very good point because it does not take much for the team a-hole cleric or the team a-hole paladin to be like, so I don't like Jeffrey anymore. I'm just going to like banish the undead or disrupt the undead on Jeffrey the Duskwalker. And then I can look him in the eye and go, has no effect. He's not undead.
Mm-hmm. And
So
in my head, I'm also going. I'm trying to help. I'm healing you. I'm casting Cure Wounds on you.
yeah, which is funny because there are definitely classes, I'm sorry, ancestries that we've already gone over that says that they cannot benefit from positive energy healing. I
Yeah,
think the Damphir are
the
that
Dampier.
way, and certain, I think the Bone Oracle is also that way.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very important distinction that you can still benefit from any heal the cleric gives, and you will not die
Yeah,
from any disrupting undead
yeah.
spells.
And also, there's one thing I want to talk about. The Dustwalker lore? You're trained
Mm-hmm.
in the Boneyard Lore. I also feel that Boneyard Lore is one of those lores that's very world specific. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's built for Paizo's Pathfinder world. I kind of want to say as a DM, I would choose something else for my player if they do decide to take Dustwalker lore.
Yeah, like if we're, for example, in Edge of Legend and you want to take this, Edge of Legend does not have Pharasma, and by proxy does not have her Boneyard. Now, there are gods of death, and there is a plane, an entire plane of the dead, um, basically like the Soul Well, and it is of its many different princes and kings and dukes, one of its highest leaders is Thane Animus. And you could learn about Thane Animus and the entire world of the dead with this lore. Is kind of how I would have to translate it.
Yeah. Oh, Maynard actually
Yeah.
says, "What is Boneyard Lore? You know about boneyards? You know that shadowy area over there is an elfin graveyard?"
I love that idea. It's like, hey, Dusk Walker, I need you to make a religion check. Yeah, sure. Everywhere the light touches is yours. Do not go there, though. That's the boneyard. Oh my God.
That's a
Well, let's
bad
move.
neighborhood.
Yeah, we don't go there. That's Compton after dark. Actually, Compton's a very nice place. I dated
Yeah.
a girl in Compton. That's not the point. Point is, Ghost Hunter. That's what's up. Uh, your connection to the Boneyard, again, ensures that your blows strike true against spectral beings. This could be really good. Your weapon and unarmed strike attacks against incorporeal creatures becomes magical. If they are already magical, they instead gain the effects of the Ghost Touch property rune. At level 1, you can now basically kill ghosts
Yeah.
with ease. That's awesome.
Yeah. Once again, really great for barbarians and monks.
Yep.
Seriously, all these
Barbarians,
a lot of these unarmed attacks. Just go barbarian monks if you go that route. Really.
Or yeah, I was gonna say you could go champion paladin because they have lay on hands that they can weaponize,
Yeah.
but that takes time. You can,
Yeah.
you
We
know.
got Reap Psyche in chat going Ghost Puncher Barbarian. Yeah. Oh, and let's see. Let's see. So Scoutmaster is explained to Maynard. The Boneyard is the basically the afterlife and religion there. And Maynard goes, so religion. Yeah, I kind of feel, I don't know, Boneyard Lore. Honestly, just wrap that up with religion.
Hmm. I think the
Yeah.
key difference, it does make more sense to fold that into religion. I think the key difference though is like religion would be, I guess, stories of the Boneyard because you're coming from the perspective of a living person. Boneyard lore would have to be something so esoteric and so explicit, like this is called the Hill of Bones. You know, Johnny has a house in the Hill of Bones, and you need to go find Johnny.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird niche thing. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Oh, we got Reef Psyche talking about that Ghost Touch ability. I think monks get Ghost Touch with their fists eventually, don't they? I think so,
I
actually.
believe so. I
But they
believe
don't
it's
get the
much further
bonus to
down the
damage,
road.
though. The bonus to damage with this ability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think. Yeah, I feel like this would work. Well, and that's problematic because even the barbarians, if you take the Spirit Instinct Barbarian, you can also attack ghosts. I think the only people that cannot attack ghosts are, no, I mean, like in general, as like a kind of rule on 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, would probably be rogues and fighters.
Yeah.
Because champions, barbarians, and monks, the big three that PJ loves, can all punch ghosts. Oh, and Magus. Magus can temporarily give their
Yeah.
sword ghost touch. So
Investigator. I don't think Investigator can.
it's a good point. I don't think they can either.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Oh, we got a Maynard in chat going. Like maybe if religion is equivalent of reading the SCP Wiki, Boneyard Lore is like you personally know the people that work at the SCP Foundation.
And I love that Reap Psyche said PJ plays all the ghost haters. That's right, because I ain't afraid no ghost.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, moving on. We got Grave Sight. This one is pretty much you can see in the darkness as easily as a psychopomp. You've gained dark vision. And you can only select this feat at first level, and you can't retrain into or out of this feat.
What I think is funny is how many of these variant ancestries all come with the ability to get dark vision naturally and dark vision as a feat. But hey, it's got a cool name, Grave Sight.
Yeah.
I just wish it did more like, kind of like how like I wish it gave you the cantrip Detect Undead. That's what I'm saying. Um, fifth level, Life Sense. You have a limited ability to sense life force, like your Psychopomp forebears. You gain Life Sense as an imprecise sense with a range of 10 feet. Looks like I just got Detect Undead. This allows you to sense life force within living creatures and its counterforce that animates the undead, though you cannot distinguish between the two. It's interesting because it basically acts as Detect Undead, but it has to kind of, like, to quote my dad, you're going to have to go around your ass to get to your elbow for this one. Because basically it allows you to detect the I'm sorry, continue. Spirit Soother. Oh, I'm sorry, I was trying to cue in, Michael. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
I'm tripping this up so much today.
Let's see, what is it? I think it's your turn with Life Sense.
Oh no, I already read Life Sense. I think
okay.
you have Soothsayer or Spirit Soother.
Oh, Spirit Soother, yeah. This one's a level 5 feat. Spirit Soother, you are attuned to the minute sounds and sensations of restless spirits. Even if you aren't searching, you can attempt to check to find haunts that normally require you to be searching. You still need to meet any other requirements to find the haunt.
Yeah, haunts are weird because haunts are like traps, but for your mind and soul.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using haunts a lot in the Nightmare of Doltenshire, although I've tried to go beyond just the basic critical success, failure, critical failure system and put in a bit of a narrative to it. It's like, what's the vision that you're seeing? What's causing the mental or emotional damage? And what's cool about the Spirit Soother is that you are now, instead of being like a rogue looking for traps, you're now like a oracle or a witch looking for what's haunted. Like, oh man, there's so much negative energy from this broom. If I touch this broom, I'm going to see, I don't know, a murder or whatever.
Yeah, you're basically a paranormal investigator with their own special on sci-fi. Yeah.
Oh my god. So
yeah.
now I'm hearing a Dusk Walker investigator, something else, who knows, something cool.
Yeah.
And now it's just ghost hunters.
Yeah. Ranger, maybe put a little ranger in there.
Okay, so now what I'm hearing, because my brain is all of Twitter, if we have multi-class champion rangers and they're Dusk Walkers, they could be supernatural.
There you go.
Anyway.
No, next year's October one shot.
Yeah, and then you'll be working with Dan and Sean as they try it instead of Sam and Dean as they go about solving ghost crimes. Ward against corruption. Your soul is warded against the power of undeath and plague, as well as that of the evil former psychopomps, known as Sakils. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against death effects, disease, and all effects from undead or Sakils. This bonus increases to +2 against an undead or Sakil's death effect or disease. Huh? Give me a second. You get a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws. I'm sorry. PJ's brain imploded a bit. I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between to get a +1 bonus to saving throws against death effects, disease, and all effects from undead or Sakils, as opposed to a +2 against an undead or Sakil's death effect or disease. Because it sounds like it's the same thing from two different directions. Like,
Yeah. Hey guys in chat, how about you explain this to us?
That's right. In the chat, jump in the comments and correct the guy who's leading this show with his co-host and partner Michael Powell, because I am confused. Because it looks like it's a +1 bonus to saving throws against death effects, disease, and all effects from undead or Sakils. Or it's a +2 against an undead or Sakil's death or disease effect. It sounds like it's the same thing.
It could be, maybe.
I
I'm still
mean,
waiting for it to load on my my pad.
oh, Reap Psyche is asking, it's called Ward Against Corruption, Reap Psyche. Ward Against Corruption. The ability gives you a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against death effects, disease, and all effects from undead or Sakils, which are basically evil psychopomps.
Yeah.
This bonus increases to a +2 against an undead or Sakil's death effect or disease. So the only thing I'm thinking is like one of them is a spell and one of them is a special effect, but it's the same language though. Is what's confusing. It's either a death effect or disease, and they both state that. So when is it a +1 and when is it a +2? Well, we'll move on, and if chat and the comments can help figure out this
Yeah.
mystery, we'll be very excited to. Yeah, it's definitely weird language, Maynard.
Yeah.
I
How about
really
this,
agree.
PJ? Take on Dusk Walker magic.
I would be happy to. Moving right along to the 9th level ancestry traits. Dusk Walker magic. Your connection to psychopomps gives you the power to glimpse the near future and protect corpses from the ravages of undeath. You can cast Augury and Gentle Repose each once per day as 2nd level divine innate spells, which is great because the whole point of this is preserving, almost said perversing, nope, preserving the cycle of life and death. And this is great because now you get to really mechanically role play. Like, oh no, Jeffrey the Paladin, everyone's Jeffrey today. Jeffrey the Paladin died. Does anyone have a resurrection spell? First of all, why not? We're 5th level. I'm sorry, 9th level. But no, you don't. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that Jeffrey the Paladin can retire in peace. And then the guy playing Jeffrey the Paladin is going to be like, yeah, next week I'll show up with a fighter. You know what I mean? Like, that's really cool. It lets you have your job be reflected in your skill choice. Ooh,
All right.
Scoutmaster said a Duskwalker can make a cool druid. Yeah, I like that
definitely,
idea,
definitely.
Scoutmaster, absolutely.
Okay. I'm having a little problem with my my pad really quick. I could read I think the summary version of it. So how about this? From now on, I'm just gonna read the summary and then PJ, you go deeper into it. How about that?
Sure. We're looking at Spirit Strikes, correct?
Yep, Spirit Strikes. Your connection to the Boneyard empowers you to bring death to all forms of life and unlife, exploiting their weakness.
All right. All your weapon and unarmed strikes are magical and deal 1 additional negative damage to living creatures and 1 additional positive damage to undead. That's really cool because now no matter what you're doing, you're causing the damage intended. You are no longer worried about accidentally healing a living creature or accidentally healing an undead creature.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. And I feel like, I hate to say barbarians, but barbarians are so good in Pathfinder 2nd. I'm sorry. But like, playing a spirit instinct barbarian is so cool because you get to decide if you're going to rage and then do positive or negative energy, right?
Yeah.
Now this is stacking with that. So when you rage, you're doing that much more positive or that much more negative damage to your target. Really cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got Reap Psyche in chat. Little rewind. Okay, so it's cumbersome to write, but the +2 is specifically if the death effect or disease is from an undead or Shekis. The +1 is against all other death effects and disease and anything else an undead or Shaki does that isn't death effects or disease.
I see what you're saying, Reap Psyche, and I'm seeing Maynard basically support that language underneath it. So basically, anything that's a Sakil, and I'm probably not doing the right. I don't know if I'm doing the right language on that. I have to check. But so like a Sakil or anything a Sakil or undead does, you get a +2 on the save. But any death, disease, or or effect. or all effects from the undead or Sakil. So So the +1 is like anytime someone casts a death effect spell on you or a disease effect on you, you get a +1. If an undead or Sakil try to, say, do a mind control spell, you get a +1. But if a Sakil or an undead try a death or disease effect specifically, that's jumped up to a +2. That makes so much more sense, and I feel like the language needs to reflect that. But that's a really cool defensive ability.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Resist Ruin. Your Dusk Walker heritage allows you to extend protection against negative energy to yourself or an ally in need.
Ooh.
So what does that do mechanically, PJ?
You gain resistance 5 to negative energy, and once per day you can cast Death Ward as a divine innate spell.
Ooh.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Why don't we do the 17th level ancestry feat, because this is just giving you a whole bunch of fun ideas. 17th level. Why don't you read the Boneyard's Call, and I'll do the mechanic stuff.
You have a powerful connection to the Boneyard and its courts, granting you the ability to travel to and from the Boneyard.
Or whatever your GM calls their Death World. You gain Plane Shift as a divine innate spell. You can cast it twice per week. So this will be an RP spell. This can be used only to travel to the Boneyard or from the Boneyard to the material plane. Oh, no. Okay. Due to your unique connection to the Boneyard, your body serves as the focus and you do not require a tuning fork. So basically, each cast is a one-way trip, and twice a week means you're going to be vacationing with the undead for like half the week. But what I love about all of this, if you guys ever remember a Pathfinder First Edition campaign module, and I have a feeling eventually they're going to release it in Pathfinder Second Edition, because I thought it was a very good campaign. Mummy's Mask. Pathfinder First Edition had a campaign called Mummy's Mask, and it was so cool because it was this ever-growing story that also had dungeon diving and sandbox elements combined. It was very, very fun, especially for like a solid group of adventurers that have all angles covered. They really want to test their skills in combat and puzzle solving, and also they want to get some pretty good loot. But the entirety of it, especially as the story built and grew, was that it was all about the undead. So the Dusk Walker feats and abilities are very hyper-specific to the undead. So if you're playing a campaign that specializes in that, like Mummy's Mask, this is huge. You have so much potential, defense and offense, against that campaign. I mean, hell, I think most of it even takes place worshiping Pharasma and the Boneyard. So it's like, it's all right there.
Yeah. We got a Scoutmaster of the troop in chat saying, could be a sweet defense, blink out of the way.
True. Blink out of the way, and then a week later you come back. Or you blink out of the way, come back, and then you can't use it again for a week. But it's innate, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
You can use it whenever you want.
It's a good ability. My only complaint here is, once again, I feel that Paizo, at least with this ancestry, they're relying pushing too much with their own created world. It just makes Duskwalker feel like, I don't know, at least to me off the bat, a Paizo specific race.
You know, and I can see what you mean by that, because so much of the lore and so much of the skills reflect that lore. And that's always my problem with third-party classes and archetypes with Pathfinder, because like they have some really cool creation ideas, but they are all hyper-specifically tuned to the world of the third-party product.
Yeah.
At least this is generic enough that you can reflavor it for your world. Like instead of the Boneyard, you call it literally anything else. And it still functions the same. It's the world of the dead as it physically exists, and not just as you spiritually are aware of it.
True. We got Maynard saying, They seem fine. They're fine. They're just narrowly designed. Like everything they do is undead focus. If you aren't in a campaign with a heavily undead focus, it's seemingly a disappointing set of abilities that just usually will not apply to you.
Yeah.
True,
That
but also
yeah.
also because it's a variant heritage. You could just take the other feats from your other part of your race or your ancestry.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and that's why I mentioned the Mummy's Mask, because the Mummy's Mask campaign is so heavily sunk into the undead that this variant race, or variant ancestry, I should say, is very, very potent. And you can combine it with a cleric or a champion with domains that make it even more potent against the undead. Um, a lot of these variant races, or I'm sorry, variant ancestries that you combine with others are very similar to that end, Maynard. Like, for example, the Dampier are very specifically fine-tuned against the living undead, like vampires. The Hag is the only thing with any bit of flexibility, because the Hag is more centered in our plane of reality. The Tiefling, though, very much is a shout back to all the demons and lords of the pit. They get some fun, neutral, flexible stuff, but a lot of it goes back to their connection to the Hells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting definitely an interesting ancestry. Personally, for me, would I play a Dusk Walker? It would have to be a really specific campaign setting for me to
Mm-hmm.
take on this heritage, because as Maynard said, if you're not in a campaign that deals with the undead or the spirit world or the afterlife and stuff like that, you're just it just feels like kind of a waste, really.
I will say this. I agree 1,000% with that sentiment, because their abilities is so focused on the balance of life and death, positive and negative energies.
Yeah.
It makes it makes the most sense to utilize this ancestry with a heavily undead focused campaign. But if you are not worried about the campaign and more worried about your story, what Dusk Walker gives you is the agency to speak on behalf of the dead in very fun ways. So
True.
imagine playing a Dusk Walker cleric or a Dusk Walker druid, as Scoutmaster mentioned. And now, even though you probably will never need or want to step into the feats for this class, or I'm sorry, for this ancestry, you can still do really fun RP where, like, you're the party, um, oh gosh, the person who resides over a funeral.
Mm.
What's that term?
The funeral director.
I guess basically, like, you're now the person who is like
The
the one in
priest.
charge. Yeah, sort of, like, you're now the person in charge of, like, writing the story of the dead teammate and telling everyone else with surgical accuracy that their spirit is in the boneyard, resting forever as a hero should, as opposed to, like, oh no, they went to the hells, they went to the glories. No, they went to the boneyard. Or you could do that for other NPCs, like, like the farmer who is corrupt with
Yeah.
ghoul touch. You remove the ghoul touch, or you don't. You stop the ghoul from becoming horrible. You kill it, and then you put the old farmer's life into the rest in the graveyard. So you're not primed against the narrative at all, but you now have agency to play with a personal narrative, and I think that could be really fun.
Yeah. We got Maynard saying Undertaker. Well, your Dustwalker does kind of have the Randy Orton tattoo, so Undertaker versus Randy Orton, book it, Hell in a Cell. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, then we have Reef Psyche going. I threw together a Rat Folk Dustwalker witch, and I love her. That sounds awesome.
that sounds really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reap Psyche. Tell us more about your witch. What
Yeah.
was their patron? What was their
Yeah.
domains and stuff?
Personally, of the
Listen.
the dead manipulating ancestries that we have talked about so far on the show, which is the Dampier, the Changeling, and the Dusk Walker here. Out of those two, Dusk Walker would be my last choice, I feel like.
I feel like I would choose Dusk Walker over the Dampier. I would probably choose the Changeling before any of those. There's one we haven't talked about at all in the show yet, and I would love to cover it one day, but that would be the Azamar. Because I love Azamars. I love Azamars, Devas, Celestials, the whole bit. So I'd love to cover that one day. But what I was going to say about the Dusk Walker, there we go. Right, my brain is all over the place. Is that I do love, and Scoutmaster said it, I do love that a good GM could take that character and at least, if not allow for really poignant moments, have a great story to tell. And also, Maynard called it the Undertaker, so now I'm seeing a Dusk Walker who's like 7'2" with the wide hat and the motorcycle, and it's just like, you're in my boneyard. I'm gonna make you famous. And
We'll just have rest
can't.
in peace. And then bring out the urn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We could, oh gosh. So me and Michael Powell have been talking back and forth about this. I don't think it'll ever happen. Maybe if we have enough like income and have enough time, we can produce a show. But I've been wanting to do a wrestle style Pathfinder show where, and once you go to South Osmicon and you see the temples of Lucha, you'll get a taste for those mechanics and that kind of system. But I would love to do like Pathfinder Wrestling Federation. And, you know, it's all just PvP and wrestling, but there's all the wrestling storytelling and all the wrestling. I'm already building NPCs in my head. There's one guy named, one of the directors or producers of the wrestling show is called K Fabian or K-Fab or K-Fab. And you could have the Undertaker be this massive Goliath Dusk Walker barbarian monk.
Yes.
It would be so good.
We'll have the Bullet Club be the Bone Club. Oh, we could also book like one federation against the other, like right now, WWE against AEW.
Very, very true. I love that. Oh, instead of the Bullet Club, they could be the Crossbow Club.
The Crossbow Club. Yeah.
Oh man, so many fun things you could have with these classes, and you could even have magic work in the ring in a way that no one would question because it's all this giant staged event.
Yeah.
So you could be like a sorcerer.
Yeah. Well, think about this. You're in a cage match. Cast spider climb on yourself.
Really? Oh my God! You're doing a Royal Rumble, and you're trying not to get pitched out of the ring. You cast
levitate.
Levitate or mirror image, and there's like 4 of you they have to toss out, and they have to toss out the right one to actually make any of it work. Oh, it'll be so much fun.
Yeah. Anyway, really quick, we're going to jump in chat. Reef Psyche says, Occult Domain, and she was the overly mysterious super grandma, which is his Rat Folk Dustwalker Witch. Then we got Maynard saying, I also feel like a Dustwalker having physically confirmed knowledge and contact with the Boneyard. It kind of shifts the mentality of the whole group from, I hope I don't die on this adventure, to I hope when I die you can confirm that I went to the good place and give me a high five afterwards, which, if nothing else, is a neat effect to have on a party. Actually, that would be really great. Like, if anybody in our party dies, they could come back as a Dustwalker.
I love that, especially if we pull it off in such a way that, like, maybe the Duskwalker player sacrifices themselves so that they can find your ass in the Boneyard and then go, okay, my time on the wall is done. You got to get back up there, Night Watch. You're the next Dustwalker that I put in my retirement so that you could be the guy. And now you have this amazing narrative structure for how a player can come back without the necessary resurrection spell story arc. That is such an awesome story.
Oh, yeah. And, we have Reef Psyche saying, he hasn't played his Ratfolk Dustwalker Witch yet, but she's in his stable ready to go if he ever ends up in a Pathfinder 2E campaign.
I would love that. I would love eventually we get a Patreon together to start like
Yeah.
renting out like one shots that I can do with you guys, legendaries at home. But we'll
Yeah.
cross that
Anyway,
bridge when we get to it.
Maynard says if anyone ever plays a Duskwalker, they need to make an Undertaker with a pallbearer familiar. Yes.
Yeah, oh, that is
Uh,
so perfect.
oh, Scoutmaster of the Troop goes, oh, I can't wait for the Inquisitor class. Dustwalker / Inquisitor would be awesome.
I'm right there with you, Scoutmaster. As you know, I have constantly been saying the word Inquisitor, hoping that
Yeah.
as it enters into the ether, Paizo will make it a thing.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
Oh, well, get on Twitter, PJ, and start tweeting that out.
I'm
Anyway,
so bad at Twitter.
doesn't matter. Just tweet it out. Anyway, Maynard goes, if you can swing speaking through your familiar, your character could just grunt the whole time about yards and fame, and Paul Bearer just floats around your head holding an urn, looking dramatic about how scary you are. Pretty much, yeah.
Yep, I can see that.
Reef Psyche says, web yourself into the ring. Yes, the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. I got
That
you
would
in
be a
this
lot of
cage for 5 minutes. Oh yeah, Bonesaw.
Oh,
Yeah, no, seriously,
God.
PJ, if we do the wrestling show, I want to be a player, but I also want to help you with the NPC voices.
I think that'll be very difficult because like I feel it'll have to be like an Edge of Legend campaign where the GM would have to be both in charge of the story and the announcing. But you know, because it is so important and driven by the players
Yeah.
making big, bold, not only just narrative choices, but actions like okay, you have 3 actions, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna spend 2 to climb. Cool, then what? I'm gonna drop an elbow from the top row. What? That's like
No,
60 feet
I
in the
just want to do
air!
my wrestling impressions. So just give me a script and I'll just read from the script when we do the dialogue. Can I do that?
All right, we'll talk about it, but
All
like
right.
one day soon because I
Yeah.
think this is definitely gonna be a fun
All
project.
right. We also
Lock that
got
away.
Malice 1974 going Dusk Walker Slayer, and
Mm-hmm.
Reef Psyche goes I love that Maynard, and Scoutmaster Gandalf the Dusky.
Ooh,
That
Gandalf the Dusky.
yeah.
I like that. Uh, because he could have so much knowledge. It was like now, correct me if I'm wrong, Scoutmaster Troop, because I know you are personally because you're Ian. I know that you know a lot about Lord of the Rings. So I'm sure that could really work. I want to give a huge shout out to the ideas that Malice has been putting out. That the Duskwalker Slayer, the Slayer class in P1 was so dope. It was I think a Ranger Rogue hybrid, and they had awesome things. Sneak attack from 30 feet or more. You could also get a sniper, and then
Yeah.
gun rules. They could have a giant sniper rifle. I play with those rules. Very fun.
And we
And
got Reef
also,
Psyche saying Daily Inquisitor tweet. That's what I kind of do every time they. Well, I do a little self promotion every time Paizo posts something up and just like jump on and go, "Hey, Inquisitor! Hey, Inquisitor! Hey, Inquisitor!" Till they finally do it.
I'll tell you what. If I don't hear any news about an Inquisitor playtest, and by the time quarantine's over and I'm allowed out of the house a bit more, and I have the energy to like decompress from my day job a bit, I will absolutely plug Paizo.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I want to give another shout out to Malice, Dusk Walker Gunslinger. Truly the man with no name.
Yeah.
I love that concept because what an awesome John Paladin sort of Clint Eastwood character that is. That's really cool.
Yeah, I could definitely see Dustwalker Gunslinger with the archetype into champion.
Ooh.
Yeah, or Gunslinger with the archetype into Inquisitor. Now you're interested.
I want it. Well, okay, so I love Champion, and I love Barbarian, I love Monk. We know this. I've said this many times. But I also love Inquisitor because the Inquisitor is like the weird version of the Champion, right? Like, I'm going to make the Champion, and I'm going to give it some very interesting spells, at least in Pathfinder 1.
Yeah.
Some very interesting self-buffs. And I've seen it played and used. It can be very, very powerful and very rewarding. It's the kind of class that easily goes into a hero player character or a tremendous villain NPC. Such a solid class.
Yeah, we got Reap Psyche going Gungrave all over again, and Malice 1974 says, you mean Gandalf the Experience Hog.
He did. He killed like a CR 20-something creature, and he got all that experience, and that's
Yeah.
rude. It's very rude.
And Scoutmaster said, "I'll figure out how to tweet to make Inquisitor a thing." So he's gonna help you with that.
Thank you, Scoutmaster. I need that. I should probably also like because I have a little private studio gym that I can go to out here. Like I pay rent for it. And while I'm there, I should like really go on my Twitter and be like, "Hey, at Paizo, hashtag Pathfinder Second Edition. I love all these things. We should talk about an Inquisitor class." Blah, 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 blah.
And Maynard goes, "If I had the energy to do that, I'll be doing it for the Warlock, not the Inquisitor."
Shots fired. You hurt my heart there, Maynard.
So anyway, that's been the Changeling and the Dusk Walker. So
That's right.
yeah.
Right.
So of the two, PJ, what do you prefer?
Ooh. So it's tough because I like the claws that the Changeling gives, and I like the potential of all the magic that they can give. But I like some of the stuff about the Dusk Walker as well. Man, I'm gonna go with Dusk Walker just because I feel like there's a lot more fun stories that I could tell with that.
I'm going to the opposite, and I'm going to say I'm down with the Changeling. I have a great idea for a Changeling. I think I actually discussed my Changeling idea with you, PJ, a while back.
I think so, and I think it's potentially might be seen in a one shot down the road, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. But for now, let's focus on the current one shot we are already in.
Yes, and speaking of which, that I don't want to forget, tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are having the last and final episode of Nightmare of Daltonshire, the 4 one-shots set in Edge of Legend for the spooky season. And there can only be one winner. We have a few potential leads, but you never know. We'll see what happens at the last second. It's kind of anyone's game, really, and we'll see the truth behind Daltonshire and all the madness.
Laszlo lives!
Laszlo's dead, but Laszlo lives.
Yeah. Anyway, also, quick shout out to Reap Psyche. Love that piece of fan art. Mwah!
That was
Chef kiss.
So good. That fan art was amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, Reap Psyche says Dusk Walker seems fantastic, but super situational. That's why I'd rather have the Changeling myself.
Yes.
Anyway, let's see. Maynard goes, Dusk Walker has narrative implications that I like a lot, but which seems best in the hands of a GM and not a player, whereas the Changeling just seems like a really neat thing a player could choose to make use of.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on all that, and that's kind of where my brain is at. If I want to play a character with a really fun shtick, persona, personal story, background, whatever, I'm choosing Dusk Walker. However, if I want something between these two options that has more viability, more flexibility, more use in everyday situations, it's got to be the Changeling. The 9 magic spells at like level 13, in the very powerful natural claws that they can get, those are all, and not to mention all the really cool bonus skill training that they can receive. It's a solid ancestry no matter what you combine it with.
Yeah.
All right, and thank you so much for going through that. We went through the Changeling and the Dusk Walker, respectively. There's a lot of really fun things with both. I gotta say the Changeling has some really fun, unique abilities that can be applied to all situations. The Dusk Walker, though, has a great story potential. Use it at the table. Tell us what you like, what you feel about it. Get in the chats and comments, and let us know. But until then, as always, this has been At the Table, and this is my man, Mr. Michael Powell. Tell him who you are and where we can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, I'm Michael Powell, and you can find me all over the internet on my social media stuff that I do, which are all under Mr. Kapow. That's MRKAPAO. Or you can find me on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell Does Stuff, because I do a lot of stuff, such as my YouTube channel, which is called Fantastic Tales of Adventure, which recently hit over 100 subscribers. Thank you for all the support, guys. Really, really can't wait for the next milestone. Anyway, I also am a co-host of a show on Thursdays at the Toyzilla Network channel on Twitch. It's called Toyzilla Live, and we talk about toy news and nostalgia stuff. And yeah, we're gonna be having a special guest next month in November, who's a voice actor in My Hero Academia. So I'll give you more information about that as we get closer to that. What about you, PJ?
My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. And when I'm not here at the table with Michael Powell, Tuesdays 3:30 to 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, I'm here Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time doing Edge of Legends with the GM for Nat20 Productions official. And this Wednesday is going to be the final episode of Nightmare of Daltonshire. We're going to have some spooky, scary stuff. If you've been watching all the other 3 up before this point, you know that it's intense, it's dangerous, people die. Michael has to make a whole new character, and we're going to see, because in the end, there can only be one. So, hope you join us on Wednesday night for that. Fridays, life action role plays coming back with Secret, hashtag CCRIT, the community college, for D&D adventurers. I'm bringing back the silver-haired, silver-tongued, half-elf bard, and we'll see what crazy misadventures we can get into. So, hope to see you in the chat on Wednesdays, hope to see you in the chat on Fridays, and hope to see you here. Same Nat time, same Nat channel, at the table. Have a good one, guys. Stay safe, and happy Halloween.
Bye!
Bye!
Oh, and go vote!
Go vote! You gotta go do that. Go vote.